Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed participants, both in person here at Pattara Thammaporn Chamber and those joining us online. Welcome to 2024 Walailak University Research Convention, or let's name it 2024 WRC. Today, we gather under the theme, Roles of Higher Education in the Turbulent World, a topic that holds profound significance in our rapidly evolving global landscape. And my name is Assistant Professor Dr. Patnarin Supakon, Director of the Center for International Affairs. I'm deeply honored to serve to all of you as the Master of Ceremony for this morning opening ceremony of 2024 WRC. To our online audience, we extend a warm welcome as well. Your participation enriches our event, and to ensure that everyone feels included, we have Assistant Professor Dr. Walailak serving as a facilitator for the online participant. Dr. Wanjit will assist those joining us virtually, helping to voice your question or comments shared in the Zoom chat. Rest assured, no one will be left out of the discussion. Together, let's embark on this enlightening journey of 2024 WRC, exploring the pivotal roles of higher education in navigating our turbulent world. But before we begin, may I share with you great news about our university. President Sombat Thamrong Thanyawong, originally scheduled to share and address our esteemed audience today, is unable to join us. But I'm pleased to announce that President Sombat has a compelling reason for his absence. He is currently in Bangkok to receive Walailak University 2023 internationally recognized high-caliber research award from the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research, and Innovation. This prestigious award conferred on January 10, 2024. Underscore President Sombat's outstanding leadership and commitment to advancing international research at Walailak University. Under President Sombat's leadership, Walailak University has made a great strides in research, and our papers in top-ranked journal listed in quartiles 1 and 2 have increased fourfold to 738 papers, growing rapidly each year. Tier 1 publications have also been significant increase, further solidifying our position as a leading research institute in Thailand. And both our total citation and research grant funding have been steadily rising, showing an annual increase of 22% of citation and 5% of research grants. In 2023, 5 of our researchers gained international recognition, earning a spot in Stanford University World Top 2% Scientist list, a distinction achieved by only 200,000 highly cited scientists globally. And furthermore, Walailak University standing in the Times Higher Education World University Rankings has significantly improved. We moved from 1501 plus to 1201 plus. And in terms of the young university category, those with 50 years or younger, we achieved joint third place in Thailand of 501 plus globally, marking a significant milestone as a first-time accomplishment. Now, Before we embark on our formal journey of intellectual exploration together, allow me to put a little smile on your face this morning by a thought-provoking conversation between a physics teacher and his student about education. The physics teacher said, Isaac Newton was sitting under a tree when an apple fell on his head and he discovered gravity. Isn't that wonderful? And the student replied, Yes, sir. If he had been sitting in class looking at books like us, that would not happen. And the joke not only tickles our funny bones, but also prompts us to ponder the essence of education and innovation. In a world of turbulence and uncertainty, it reminds us that true discoveries often stem from unexpected moments of insight and curiosity. And efficient learning follows what Confucius proposed long in the past, and I am certain that you have heard about it. It goes like this: I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. But I do and I understand. History has taught us immensely about how education works effectively, not by listening to lectures, but by getting involved in what we are interested in. As we convene today, united in our pursuit of knowledge and progress, let us embrace the spirit of inquiry and creativity. Together, let us navigate the challenges of our time and harness the power of higher education to shape a brighter future for generations to come. A teenage girl from Pakistan, her name is Malala Yousafzai, addressed the United Nations one day on July 12, 2013, in front of 500 students in New York, and she said, "One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world." Do you believe in that? Her admirable intention was to fight for the right of every child to have equal opportunities to receive good education. In the midst of turbulence, education stands a powerful force for transformation and progress. Organized by Research and Innovation Institute of Excellence, in conjunction with various schools, colleges, research centers, Center of Excellence, and Center for International Affairs, 2024 WRC is more than just a convention. It is a platform dedicated to advancing research, catalyzing innovation, and fostering the establishment of national and international research networks. Our agenda this morning is packed with insightful discussion and keynote addresses from prominent figures in the field of academia and research. We will commence our proceeding with a warm welcoming ceremony by Associate Professor Dr. Surin Maisikot, Vice President of Walailak University, and it will be followed by an opening remark and keynote address entitled Roles of University in Turbulent Times, delivered by Associate Professor Dr. Pathamawadi Pochanugun, President of Thailand Science Research and Innovation. Following this, we are honored to have with us Professor Chris Rudd, Chief Scientist from Yangtze River Delta Carbon Fiber and Composite Innovation Center. And until recently, Dr. Chris Rudd also served as the Deputy Vice Chancellor and Head of Singapore campus of James Cook University, Australia. Professor Rudd will deliver a keynote speech on roles of higher education in the turbulent world, shedding light on critical aspects of our theme. Afterwards, we'll capture the spirit of collaboration with group photo sessions before delving into a plenary discussion on roles of higher education, the digital economy, carbon neutrality, and enhancing quality of life. Our esteemed panelists today include Associate Professor Dr. Pongpan Kaew-Tatip, Mr. Sarin K.C., Professor Chris Rudd. They will share their insights on this vital topic. Moderating the discussion, the plenary discussion, will be none other than Associate Professor Dr. Surin Mai Sigrot, our charming Vice President of Walailak University. Please note that lunch will be served just outside this Patra Thammaporn chamber following our morning session and providing an excellent opportunity for networking and further exchange of ideas. This year's convention holds particular significance as we delve into the theme, Roles of Higher Education in the Turbulent World. In a world characterized by rapid change and uncertainty, the role of higher education has never been more crucial. It's through education and research that we navigate the turbulent waters of modern era, seeking solutions to challenges that lie ahead. Throughout 2024, WRC will engage in several parallel sessions encompassing focused and multidisciplinary discussion, and this session will address pressing issues like digital economy, carbon neutrality, and enhancing quality of life amidst global uncertainties. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to set the stage for our journey ahead together, let us now immerse ourselves in the spirit of Walailak University through a captivating visual presentation. I would like all of us to direct our attention to the screens as we present a video clip of Walailak University, your golden gateway to world-class education. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Walailak University through the video clip.
Welcome to Walailak University. Walailak University is located in the southern province of Nakhon Si Thammarat and is one of Thailand's premier and world-class universities. Walailak University, striving for excellence. For the first time in its 30-year history, Walailak University has been ranked as a world-class university by Times Higher Education. It has achieved the World University, Impact, and Young University rankings. This achievement marks a milestone in the university's journey to become a leading higher education institution in Thailand, renowned for its excellence. Leading this remarkable ascendancy is Professor Dr. Sombat Thamrong Thanyawong, who has served as the president of Walailak University since 2016. Walailak University is a comprehensive and research-intensive university that also treats teaching and learning with earnest. A major reform in teaching and learning was launched in 2018, adopting the international recognized United Kingdom Professional Standards Framework, or UKPSF, to train her teachers. Walailak University has the highest number of UKPSF-based HEA fellowships in Thailand and the only university in the nation that has implemented the framework in all her teachings. Walailak places importance on high-standard facilities to promote the quality of life of students, such as high technology and artificial intelligence in classrooms and laboratories, on-campus dormitories with 24-hour security systems, electric shuttle car services, consulting services, places for recreation and religious practice, a sports complex, Chopradu food court, banks and co-working spaces. Cooperative education is another hallmark of Walailak University. Before graduation, all students are required to practice at the real-world workplace for 8 months, something that is essential for our students to enhance both their professional and 21st century skills. The university's various centers of excellence serve as a driving mechanism for producing world-class research. Our faculty members publish their studies in top-level Scopus Index journals, particularly Quartile 1 and 2, that have attracted worldwide citations. Walailak University also supports academic services for sustainable social development based on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. According to Times Higher Education, Walailak University is currently ranked between 401st to 600th in the world on the impact rankings. Walailak is a green university. It has been ranked 111th globally as the world's green university by UI Green Metric World University Ranking and first in the southern region of Thailand since 2020. We also aim to make the university recreational for both students and staff and the public. We have built Walailak Park at the entrance of the university, which is the largest ornamental garden of all universities in Thailand, combining land and lake with a total area of about 100 acres. Situated on the Walailak campus is also a 434-acre botanic park. The park features the Teparat Rasuda Natural History Museum, Bota Sky Tower, Cactus Dome, nature trails, herb gardens, and many more. Visitors particularly enjoy the excitement of walking up the park's 25-meter-high Bota Sky Tower, from which they revel in one of the most beautiful landscape views in the area. In healthcare, Walailak Hospital plays a pivotal role in providing medical services to people in the upper southern region of Thailand. The hospital, together with its healthcare-related schools, acts as a research hub and as an institution that produces much-needed healthcare professionals. At present, Walailak University Hospital has 540 beds, with Sitamarasha Wing to provide medical care for monks and other religious figures. The hospital aims to serve more than 300,000 patients annually. Although Walailak University is only 3 decades old, we continue to move forward to unceasingly advance our academic and research works, to be ready to adapt to the changing world, to better serve the community and society, and to be a university of quality that is recognized worldwide.
Just ended was the overview of Walailak University. Thank you. I hope that you have enjoyed our visual presentation of one of the world-class university in the upper south of Thailand. But before we delve into the more formal proceeding of 2024 WRC, allow me to provide a brief overview of the parallel sessions, several of them awaiting our esteemed participants in your academic wonderland throughout these 3 days from March 27 to March 29. For the very first conference of today's afternoon, of March 27, we kick off our convention with a focus on the critical issue of global health. Akara Ratchakumari Veterinary College and Research Center sets the stage for their parallel session on updated antimicrobial resistance Thailand versus Australia, highlighting the global efforts against evolving health threats. The next day, tomorrow, March 28th, agenda is packed with sessions that underscore importance of inclusivity, sustainability, and innovation in our rapidly changing world. In diversity, there is beauty and strength. Let's embrace it in our conversation and actions. From the Center of Excellence on Women and Social Security, we have a session on communicating in multicultural and transitional world, emphasizing the power of inclusive dialogue and understanding. On the same day, there will be another one by the Center of Excellence for Tourism, Business Management, and Creative. This center brings us the carbon neutrality in the creative economy, charting a course towards sustainable business practices. Ladies and gentlemen, food is not just sustenance, something that we eat to survive. It's a catalyst for change and innovation, believe it or not. The Food Technology and Innovation Research Center of Excellence, in their session, invites interested audience to explore the future of food with the title Future Foods, Trends and Impacts. And innovation is the bridge between our present and a sustainable future. So please don't miss the first International Symposium on Sustainable Pathways, Green Synthesis for Eco-Friendly Application, by the Center of Excellence in Functional Materials and Nanotechnology, paving the way for eco-friendly innovations. Now, let's move on to the final day, March 29th. We continue our exploration with crucial issues spanning socio-political dynamics, healthcare innovations, environmental sustainability. Understanding our past is the key to shaping the future. Those interested in shaping peace in today's world of turbulence may join the School of Political Science and Public Administration and delve into complexity of socio-political dynamics in the southern border provinces. We also have a topic about health, which is not merely the absence of disease. Don't you agree with me? It's the presence of well-being in every aspect of life. Explore holistic approaches to community well-being in the third International Conference on Multidisciplinary Healthcare to enhance quality of life in community by the Excellence Center of Community Health Promotion. And technology is a tool, of course, but actually, it's the human compassion that drives real changes. Discover the transformative potential of technology in healthcare diagnostic with the session on magnetic resonance imaging in the era of artificial intelligence by the Center of Excellence in Data Science and Health Science. Now, on March 29th, there is a poster session, and you are invited to join the poster session from 10:40 to 12, and the results of the poster competition will be announced in the afternoon around 3 to 3:30 p.m. And if you cannot remember everything, I can remember, and I sympathize with your feeling, but you can go to our website of 2024 WRC. The details of all the parallel sessions will be there for you to explore. As 2024 WRC opening ceremony reaches now the pinnacle, we would like to invite you to witness the culmination of our endeavors through 2024 Walailak University Research Convention video presentation. It will encapsulate the essence of innovation, collaboration, and progress. Ladies and gentlemen, let's immerse ourselves one more time in the spirit of exploration and enlightenment as we witness the profound impact of research at Walailak University through the next video clip of 2024 Walailak University research.
Walailak University is a global and frontier research institution with a mission to conduct innovative research and develop technologies. Our aim is to enhance self-reliance, support community development, and elevate the quality of research for international competitiveness.
Walailak University is committed to strategic research advancement, driving its aim global leadership in cutting-edge research. Our focus lies in cultivating pioneering research projects and facilitating the publication of scholarly articles in esteemed international journals. In the prestigious 2024 Times Higher Education World Universe Ranking, Walailak University has soared to the upper global ranking echelon of 1201 plus. Moreover, in the esteemed 2023 Young University Ranking, our institution has achieved an impressive standing within the top 501 plus globally. Additionally, in 2023, the Impact Ranking have recognized Walailak University's burgeoning international influence by placing it within the esteemed 401 to 600 type worldwide. In 2024, the university is dedicated to advancing its teaching and research system. Currently, over 90% of our faculty members have been awarded the UKPSF certificate, and we are confident in this outstanding championship status. This affirms the professionalism of our teaching staff. Furthermore, our significant investment in research has led to the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation announcing Walailak University as the recipient of the 2023 Outstanding Award for Excellence in Internationally High Caliber Research on January the 10th, 2024. This prestigious award highlights the university's dedicated pursuit of research excellence over the past 7 years. Moving forward, we will continue to deepen our research efforts to instill confidence in our students. Research endeavors demonstrate to students that our faculty possess knowledge and ability in various subjects they teach.
The attainment of this success stems from a multifaceted research drive mechanism, with key organizations serving as guides and supporters. These include the Research and Innovation Institute of Excellence, the Center for Academic Services and Science and Technology Park. Researchers of Walailak University collaborate on projects under more than 20 centers of excellence covering various research areas, including health sciences, science and technology, and social sciences. These centers of excellence and research centers have produced outstanding and frontier research outputs. 1. Associate Professor Dr. Pajamoran Surinenpong, head of the Center of Excellence in Marijuana, Hemp, and Kratom, along with her team discovered 2 new species of Nepenthes, namely Nepenthes hirtella and Nepenthes bracteosa. 2. Associate Professor Dr. Nirindal Matan, head of the Center of Excellence in Wood and Biomaterials, and the research team, developed novel pretreatment method of oil palm wood. The process can address the problems having plagued wood industry for over 30 years. Both wood processing entrepreneurs and oil palm farmers can venture into a new territory of a sustainable, eco-friendly, and holistic cycle of income. 3. Associate Professor Dr. Mutho Lepne Soa, Head of the Center of Excellence in Functional Materials and Nanotechnology in the research team. Explore microwave heating technology for agricultural products. The innovation benefit both communities and local enterprises in production of various agricultural products, such as fish, vegetables, herbs, puffed rice, and fruits. This technology to enhance production efficiency or improve competitiveness, enabling them to manufacture products demanded by the market, creating opportunities in business components. 4. Associate Professor Dr. Wichit Punrongva, Head of the Biomass and Oil Palm Center of Excellence and Team, transforms palm oil biomass into high-value products and chemicals. The innovation has been awarded the Silver Award at the Thailand Research Expo 2023, organized by the National Research Council of Thailand, NRCT. Research outputs are translated into community service academic projects, such as the Crab Bank project by Walailak University and the National Research Council of Thailand, NRCT. Over the past 3 years, the Crab Bank project has been continuously implemented and has established more than 84 crab banks, apart from revitalizing mullet resources for sustainable use. These institutions have also created new occupations in the area, promoting additional income from tourism and traditional fishing activities. Innovation and technology of Walailak University also translated to industries and commercials facilitated by the Science and Technology Park. Success case of technology and innovation transfer such as improving the quality of rubber wood by boiling under pressure control. Rubber wood log turning machine to automatically align the wood axis. Currently, there are over 100 technologies that have been patented. Walailak University has continuously increased publication in international academic journals. Additionally, the university's research publications in Q1 and Q2 journals stand at an impressive more than 90%, ranking it first in the country. Moreover, researchers from Walailak University have been ranked among the world's top 2% scientists for the year 2023 by Stanford University. The continuous development in research quality has led Walailak University to gain nationally and internationally recognition. We believe that societal, economic, environmental, and educational development will be fostered by our research, innovation, and technology. With a knowledge base from research, we aim to develop, innovate, solve problems, and elevate the quality of life for people in society. In line with the university's vision of being an institution of good governance, a source of knowledge for critical problems facing the nation, to unfailingly address community needs, and to strive for international recognition for excellence.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a brief overview of Walailak University research accomplishment. We will now proceed to the more formal segment of the convention now. Our agenda comprises first with the welcome remark, an opening remark, a keynote speech, and will be concluded with a plenary discussion before we break for lunch outside this Pattara Thammaporn chamber. Let's embark on this formality of our convention together. May I first address myself to Associate Professor Dr. Surin Mai Sikrut, Vice President of Walailak University, Associate Professor Dr. Sivarit Pongsakorn Rangsin, also Vice President of Walailak University, Associate Professor Dr. Pattamawadi Pochanugun, President of Thailand Science, Research and Innovation, Professor Chris Rudd, Chief Scientist of Yangtze River Delta Carbon Fiber and Composite Innovation Center, Associate Professor Dr. Pongpan Keltatip, Vice President of Thailand Science, Research and Innovation, Mr. Sarin K.C., Technical Advisor at Health Intervention and Technology Assessment Program, distinguished scholars and participants. While we'll miss President Sombat's presence today, as I have told you that now he's in Bangkok receiving our award for our excellence in international research publication. We are, however, honored to have Vice President Surin Mai Sikrut join us in his stead. Please join me in welcoming Vice President Surin Maisigrat to the stage for a welcome address and 2024 report.
It's a big shoe to fill, indeed. Associate Professor Dr. Pathamawadi Pochanukun, President of Thailand Science Research and Innovation, Professor Chris Rad, distinguished speakers and panelists, distinguished guests, executives and staff of Walailak University, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Sawasdee krab. Good morning and welcome all, both here on site and worldwide, to this annual Walailak Research Convention 2024 or WRC 2024. As mentioned by Dr. Panarin, I have been assigned to do the welcoming this morning by the President, Professor Dr. Sombat Thamrong Thanyawong, on his behalf. As mentioned by Professor Panarin, this is because he has to travel to Bangkok to receive a very significant award, the Outstanding Award for Excellence in Internationally Competitive Research by the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation. I have to mention that the presentation of the award by the ministry, which is happening at this very moment, this morning, exactly when we are celebrating the university's foundation. This year is 20 years, 32nd anniversary of the university. It is a very fitting occasion, and it is probably one of the proudest moments for the staff of Walailak University, as it serves to underscore the university's relentless commitment to research excellence. We are part of the Frontier and Global Research University, 16 of us. Particularly, the commitment to research excellence has been led by the visionary leadership of Professor Dr. Sombat Thamrong Thanyawong. So we are all very proud. But I have to say that while we feel very happy, very pleased with the result that has been recognized by a very important organization that looks after all university, the Ministry of Higher Education, I have to admit that we are coming from behind. We are coming from a rather low level. So, although we are recognized as a world-class university by both QS and Times Higher Education, we have to be very humble. It's the second time that we have been recognized as a world-class university out of about 26,000 universities around the world. So we have to be very proud of the achievement, even though, as I said, we move from a very low base. Within the context of Thailand, when it comes to being a world-class university, this year we have been ranked 6th, jointly with 5 other major universities in the country. The university also participates very well in addressing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, ranking joint 8th within the countries again. We are certainly committed to impactful research at both local and global levels, playing significant roles in enhancing the quality of education, transferring research and technologies, fostering innovations and providing academic services aimed at improving the economy, the environment, and people's quality of life. Walailak University is so determined to provide quality teaching and learning, adopting active learning and small class teaching methods based on the United Kingdom Professional Standards Framework, or UK PSAF, as indicated in the video clips. And as again indicated, it's quite a lot of PR there, but certainly we are very proud of our achievement. The fact that 90%, over 90% of our staff, teaching staff have been recognized by the Advanced HE as professional teachers. The university has invested in the refurbishment of all the laboratories, over 150 classrooms, modernizing, refurbishing students' accommodations, to making sure that students have a very good learning environment and learning experience while at Walailak University. The theme of this annual Walailak Research Convention this time is Roles of Higher Education in a Turbulent World. I would rather say a turbulent world, not the turbulent world. Indeed, higher education is being challenged by many forces on many fronts, some of which issues will be discussed in the workshops and seminars that are taking place during these 3 days across the university campus. Hundreds of scholars and researchers from Thailand and around the world will, in their respective areas of expertise, share their research findings, ideas, and ways that we may deal with different challenges facing our world, including higher education. A wide range of pressing issues, as mentioned by Dr. Panarin just now, such as digital creative economy, artificial intelligence and learning technologies, climate change, sustainable uses of materials, gender roles, food security, and other security-related issues will be discussed in different rooms across the campus, as mentioned. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, Walailak University today is very honored to be joined by such a very important person as Associate Professor Dr. Pathamawadi Pochanukul, President of Thailand Science Research and Innovation. She will be officially open this annual conference. Now, some of you may not know very well what this organization is all about and what is the role of Dr. Pathamawadi. I have to say, this organization, led by this former academics, former economists, is very fundamental to the policy making in the area of science, research, and innovations of the country. And her roles covers as a policy-making body, part of the leading the policy-making body, covers all areas, from medical to scientific research to social sciences research. We then will hear Professor Chris Rudd, who is until recently the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Australia's James Cook University, based in Singapore. Prof. Chris Rudd is now the Chief Scientist of the Yangtze River Delta Carbon Fiber and Composite Innovation Center in China. We are pleased that Chris can join us here today. Chris has extensive experience in the UK, at Nottingham, and in China for many years, and in Singapore again for many years. So he is a well-traveled, highly experienced scientist and high-level administrator of universities. We then will have a panel discussion, as mentioned by Dr. Panarin, exploring the relationship between some of the key issues: higher education, climate change, quality of life. Let's see if we can achieve something during the 70 minutes or so of our discussion that will be held on this stage shortly. And for this, I thank Dr. Pongpan Keo Tatip, again from the TSRI. He's a vice president of Thailand Science Research and Innovation. I thank Kun Sarin KC, the technical advisor to the Health Intervention and Technology Assessment Program, or HITEP Thailand, such an energetic young man. Yeah. And of course, Professor Chris Rad will be joining us on the stage as well. So Chris will have two roles today: to deliver his keynote speech and then to join us again on the stage as one of the panelists. So I thank all the panelists in advance. I thank everybody for joining us. We do have representatives from other organizations, other universities. I welcome Mrs. Rad to Walailak University as well. I welcome all. I understand we have representatives from other neighboring universities, from Prince of Songkhla University, from Ratchapat University, and from other organizations. I thank you all. And the President has asked me to also thank the organizing committee, the members of the organizing committee, led by Associate Professor Dr. Sivarit Pongsakornsin, Dr. Udomsak Saengo, Director of Research Center, Dr. Puwadon Bangrak, who has helped us so much to set up this stage and with others logistics, and thank the live online streaming team led by Dr. Dean Sri Wachana Kelvanek and Kun Chongwut Song Pim or Kun Piak. And of course, we have to thank Dr. Farida Te'o for her help with a lot of things regarding the public relations of this event. And I thank you all. I especially thank Associate Professor Dr. Pathanawadi Po Chanukun for her time and generosity in joining us today to officiate the conference. And I understand that she will have to leave after the photo session, so we'll try to fit her in to make sure that she is in the picture, which will be very significant for us. So now I turn to Dr. Panarin to briefly introduce Dr. Pathamawadi. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, Vice President Surin My Secret, for your kind welcoming remark and also a brief report on 2024 WRC. In times of turbulence, we always hope that Walailak University and other universities will serve as beacons of knowledge, guiding us toward brighter horizons. Up next will be an opening remark and a special keynote address on role of university in turbulent times, delivered by Associate Professor Dr. Pathamawadi Pochanukun, President of Thailand Science Research and Innovation. But before that, let me introduce briefly about our keynote deliverer on the special keynote address. Associate Professor Dr. Pathamawadi Pochanugun received her PhD in agriculture from Kyoto University, Kyoto, Japan in 1992. Formerly from 2008 to 2011, she served as the Dean of the Faculty of Economics and at Thammasat University. She was also members of several committees working on national economy and education policies. And currently, she is the president of Thailand Science Research and Innovation, an independent agency under the Ministry of Higher Education, Science Research and Innovation. Thailand Science Research and Innovation aims at promoting, supporting, and driving the country's research and innovation system in science, technology, social sciences, humanities, and interdisciplinary studies to create knowledge and develop public policies. It also supports the use of research and innovation results in the economy and society to achieve a balanced and sustainable national development. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor now to introduce to you Associate Professor Dr. Pathamawadi Pochanugun, President of Thailand Science Research and Innovation. Please join me in giving her a round of warm applause.
Associate Professor Dr. Surin Maisikrot, the Vice President of Walailak University, honored keynote speakers, panelists, distinguished guests, participants, and press. It is my honor to be here to deliver an opening remark for the Walailak Research Convention 2024 under the compelling theme Roles of Higher Education in a Turbulent World. To celebrate the 32nd anniversary of Walailak University, I'm pleased to extend my gratitude and congratulations to the university for her enduring commitment in the research and innovation and outstanding progress. As a result, this dedication not only propels economic growth and social welfare, but also addresses crucial environmental sustainability concerns. The theme of Turbulent World describes the various challenges that define our era. For example, geopolitical unrest, economic instability, environmental crisis, profound societal shift, aging society, technology disruption, and so on. Therefore, science, research, and innovation are crucial gears towards solutions. Navigating the complexity demands in concerted interdisciplinary efforts, drawing upon the collective expertise of political scientists, economists, environmentalists, sociologists, and more. Universities, research institutes, and collaborative partners, particularly international partners, become the key players for spearheading the implementation of strategic, impactful science and innovation initiatives. Since May 2019, Thailand has reformed higher education, one group, science, research, and innovation system to be new organizations, not only to improve efficiency and effectiveness of the system, but also to support and to lead Thailand to cope with those challenges factors faster and more efficient. There are 4 objectives of the Science, Research and Innovation Plan, or SRI plan, including supporting the country's competitiveness, social inclusiveness, and environmental sustainability, frontier research, and manpower development. In alignment with TSRI's strategic vision, Walailak University has clearly emerged as a beacon of research and innovation, particularly in influencing socio-economic development in the southern region. Ladies and gentlemen, may I use this occasion to extend my appreciation to Walailak University for organizing this important convention. I'm confident that the dialogues and international partnerships forged here will catalyze innovative research ventures, yielding benefits for humanity at large. With these thoughts, it is my esteemed privilege to officially declare the Walailak Research Convention 2024 open. Thank you.
May I express our heartfelt gratitude for Associate Professor Dr. Pathamawadi Pochanugun for your opening remark and keynote address. But please stay with us on the stage for now because I would like to invite Vice President Surin Mai Sigrot to join her on stage to present a token of appreciation.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is now her special talk.
Okay, thank you. This is the topic that I would like to share an idea with all of you here, the role of universities in the turbulent times. So, okay. Regarding this topic, I think I would like to share with you some approach how universities link with the turbulent world. First of all, I will discuss about the loop of learning. The second one, I will discuss a bit about development of high-skilled workforce by university. Third one is lifelong learning. And the last one, I will conclude with what Thailand, particularly MESI, Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation, has reformed the system by grouping universities into 5 groups. Okay. Okay, I may start with this infographic. Actually, when we talk about university, I think most of us understand that we have 2 key or basic roles. First one is teaching, okay, and the second one is doing research. Particularly, when we talk about research or even teaching, these 2 areas may link with some kind of theory, framework, or whatever. Okay. So some professors may choose to teach with a very few or without research. Some professors may love to do research and may not happy much with teaching. As researchers or university lecturers in the past, I think we have several, preference of professors in the university. But actually, research and teaching is something that should be linked. And to me, I think that research is an entry point for lecturers or professors to link with the turbulent world. Okay. So from this regard, I think research as an important entry point. We have several characteristics of research. First of all, we may mention about basic research, applied research. But given the changing world, I think we need more and more what we call transdisciplinary research, or TDR, and or multidisciplinary research, or MDR. Okay, I would like to discuss this a bit later on. Sorry. Okay. The important thing is that for whatever types of research that you are doing, okay, you will discover something. Okay. Discovery from your research or finding from your research may lead to new knowledge, technology, and innovation, and you can have better publication. On the other way round, or on the alternative way, is that apart from pieces of work in terms of publication, when we really want to provide solutions for the changing world, then the integration of several kinds of knowledge, technology, and innovation may be needed. It means we may need a package of team and package of technology, package of knowledge, okay, to provide solution to cope with the technological change, situation change, or whatever. That is, we may. Okay, sorry for technical. Okay, but anyway, what I would like to say is that the upper cycle is important, but it can generate a dynamism of your class teaching. That means new knowledge, technology, and innovation that you find from research can link back to your instruction, to teaching and learnings of students. So I think with this research, it's the way that you can lead professors, lecturers, and students together to the changing world. Okay. That's a basic idea that I may propose here. So, bring back in. It's moved automatically. Okay. So I would like to discuss a bit about the difference between multidisciplinary research and transdisciplinary research from some ideas of Bergman in the year 2021. The upper one is transdisciplinary research. The first one is multidisciplinary research, that when you cope with the problem, you can find several, with complexity, you can find several areas that you may diagnose and separate research team, okay, to doing some kind of research. Okay, but integration of research, knowledge to solve the problem may take part at the end of the process. Okay, but the second one, transdisciplinary research, it starts from the beginning that every team needs to join together since the beginning so that the solution can be provided in process through in-process integration. Okay. Given this, okay, when we talk about transdisciplinary research, so we start with problem framing, planning and actors research, and also some application and monitoring. The important thing is that for transdisciplinary research, we can think beyond academic researchers alone. Stakeholders engagement, civil society, private sector, local government, university, and communities can join hands in hand since the beginning when the research framework is designed. And they can take part in throughout the process of doing research. Okay, and in this kind of thing, I think Walailak University has this experience for quite a long time. So you have very well, how to say, in terms of process for stakeholders engagement. And from my experience, I think Walailak University knows very well about the communities in the area. So your strength is here, and I think this is one of the approach that Walailak can lead, can be a leader among other universities in Thailand about transdisciplinary research. Okay. The second point is development of higher skilled workforce. I got these pictures from the study of Nexpo. Okay. And this is what Thailand Science Research and Innovation has in their plan, SRI plan. We start with the focus area of frontier research, but actually this is to look at the future, but how the future aspect can link with the present needs in the industry. So we have this kind of framework. Frontier research, we focus on quantum technology, space technology, high energy physics, and plasma. On the other hand, when we talk about frontier research and moving back to more applicable research or knowledge, it is like digital computing, senior sensor electronics, food and agriculture, biotech, symbiotic, chemical materials, energy and zero carbon. This kind of field are very important and planned in the TSRI development SRI plan. Okay. This kind of technology or sectors will link with food and farming, healthcare, medical, energy, environment, financing and transaction, mobility and logistics sectors. This is the areas for industry development. So if we put the linkage between some kind of frontier research and technology with the future industry and future service needed in Thailand, we can identify what kind of academic discipline that we may put an effort, our investment in terms of research. And what is important is also particularly for human high skill development. Okay, and in the version of TSI, we call brain power. Okay, so this matrix will show you what kind of, what types of brain power that we need to support the industry development in Thailand. Sorry that the alphabet is a bit small, but this can show you something at a bigger size. The bubble size is the value of the investment approved by BOI. Okay, and it also reflects the demand for high-skilled workers. From right upper part, okay, to the south left side, we may start with digital technology and high-skilled workers in terms of digital innovation. Okay. The second one is the medical hub, okay, and also wellness, tourism, energy, biochemicals, materials, automotive, okay, robotics, smart electronics. Oh, so those are the future needs for high-skilled workforce in Thailand from the studies of Nexpo, and TSRI apply this framework when we allocate budget for research. Okay, the last point is lifelong learning. I think aging society is something that is the situation in Thailand right now. And aging society means the proportion of younger generation is smaller in Thailand, while the proportion of aging people is much higher. So in this case, it means we need very productive young generation to take care of the aging society, productive workforce. But at the same time, we are facing the problems of declining numbers of youth and students in the university. Given this, it means that productivity of students and future workforce will be very, very important. This is also linked with the attitude of the young generation towards schooling and learning. And with advance in digital technology and online system, they may not need to come to the university. So lifelong learning and some other activities to support study outside university, online system or whatever is very important for the future and for the present time and also to the future. So how the university cope with those changing situation in terms of populations. The last point is that given those challenging situation, MESI, Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation has grouped Thailand's university into 5 groups. The first one is world-class research university, and Walailak choose this track. This is very important for us to look at the goals of each university and how to support the universities according to their goals and their plan. Okay. For world-class research university wants to create world-class knowledge and innovation. The second group is technology development and innovation creation. This is to create technology and innovation according to the country's needs. The third one is area-based development. The fourth one is intellectual and moral development with religious principles. This group of university shows that Thailand is a multicultural, and we allow university to have initiatives in terms of research and instruction and teaching and learning that can be linked with different culture and different religions. The fifth one is development of personnel in specific fields to strengthen personnel to become experts in specific area. Okay. The last slide is what TSRI tried to do. We group those 5 groups into 4 dimensions, and we assigned specific session to take care of the university. The first one is on the left-hand side. O is objective, okay, outcome. Okay, O brain unit will take care of the world-class university and development of personnel in specific fields. Okay, Ajahn Chinawut is with us now. He's take care of the director of O brain. Okay. The second one on the right-hand side is the outcome for competitiveness, technology development, and innovation creation. Dr. Pongpan is here with us. Okay. The third one is on inclusiveness and science and technology. So the name of the session is already shows that for inclusiveness, we focus on the university that focus on area-based research and area-based development. Okay, so this is how Ministry of Higher Education has reformed the system and how Thailand Science Research and Innovation try to cope or to respond to the changing situation. Yes. And I hope that with this target, these specific goals, and with designs, Thailand as a whole country, as a country, can cope well with the changing world through the roles of Thailand's universities. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. May I ask you still remain on the stage, please? And sorry, apology for my mistake of understanding earlier. I think it's now the right time for me to express my heartfelt attitude to Associate Professor Dr. Pathamawadi Pochanugun. And as I told you, please remain there. Today's challenges are filled with disruption, turbulence, and complexities. And from what we heard from Associate Professor Dr. Pathamawadi, we also have learned that integration is in fact also part of today's opportunities and challenges. This means that we have more space for collaboration. And you're welcome, all of you here, to work with our researcher at Walailak University, the best green campus in the upper south of Thailand. Now, may I invite Vice President Surin Mai Sikrot to join Associate Professor Dr. Pathamawadi Pochanugun on stage to present a token of appreciation. Thank you. And now I kindly request both to step down and take your way back to your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and esteemed colleagues, there was an online article I have just read about the world of turbulence, and it's entitled "The danger in times of turbulence is acting with yesterday logic." Do you agree with that? And it was written by a man whose name is Barry Bramley. He is an international business speaker, and he said, "There is no doubt that we are currently living in a time of extreme turbulence. One doesn't have to be an expert to interpret it. In politics, in environment, in global economy, healthcare, global pandemics, and the gap between the rich and the poor. Even in education. And the list is on, and also it is diverse." And when he looks at all the incredibly smart minds being applied to the situation I have just mentioned, he is dumbfounded that we are unable to solve the mess that we are in. And why is that? Can you give the answer to yourself? Now let's explore answer to questions like this from our esteemed keynote speaker, Professor Chris Rudd, Chief Scientist from Yangtze River Delta Carbon Fiber and Composite of Innovation Center. It is my honor to extend a warm welcome to Professor Chris Rudd. He finished his PhD in engineering from Nottingham University in UK in 1989. And in 1998, he became full professor and served as faculty dean in 2001. Until recently, he took the position of Deputy Vice Chancellor and head of Singapore campus of James Cook University, Australia. And his major awards include an award as an officer of the Order of the British Empire for services to higher education in 2018. He also received 2 awards from Chinese government, National Friendship Award in 2021 and National 1000 Talent Award in 2024, just this year. As we navigate through the challenges of our turbulent world, we eagerly anticipate your insights on the transformative roles of higher education in the turbulent world. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Chris Rudd. Please join me in giving a warm round of applause to Professor Chris Rudd.
Good morning, everybody, and many thanks to friends from Walailak University for the kind invitation, but also the great arrangements and hospitality that you've shown me in the short time that I've been here. I'd also like to say a big thanks for giving me this very interesting but actually quite challenging question to speak to. And unlike the previous speaker, I'm going to step back a little bit and maybe take a macro approach to the problem. Okay, so as the kind introduction just mentioned, my experience mostly in the UK in a big civic university, but the past 10 years have been a series of school days for me in Asia, first of all, in China, and more recently in Singapore. And even wandering around this part of Thailand, I've learned a great deal, even in the past few days, which have informed some of the comments that I'd like to make. So that was Nottingham, home, as you will be aware, of Robin Hood, the city's most famous or infamous character, a big civic university, and some great times doing a whole variety of different roles there. And then at the first Sino Foreign University in China, the Nottingham campus in Ningbo, again a deeply fascinating and time of deep learning, and then on to JCU Singapore, one of the earliest foreign providers in that part of the world, and very happy to discuss any of the learning experiences from those. But actually, I want to back out a bit and really address the exam question that you threw at me, which is about, in this increasingly uncertain global period, then how should we redefine the role of universities? And we need a reference point. And I always go back to this remark that was made by the late lamented Lord Ron Deering, who was our Chancellor at Nottingham in the early 2000s, who described universities as an analogue of the medieval castle. And I thought it was a great analogy. And why did he use that term? Because he was talking about not a defensive structure, but a place of safety, a place where scholarship, research, commerce, innovation, celebrations of the arts, scriptures, all these things could take place, whatever was happening in the outside world. And I think that's a great kind of starting point for us to think about how we want to present our institutions to the outside world. And so if we broaden it out and look at how different institutions and different leaders interpret that in their particular contexts, then we'll get a list of objectives that would look something like that. And talking about, of course, the education mission, the technology mission, the cultural mission, but overall, this idea of advancing society and civilization. And people will often say, well, that's motherhood and apple pie, which is a US expression, not to say that it's boring, but to say that nobody would really argue with any of those things. But of course, the context for our discussion today is really, does that go far enough? Because we live in this increasingly uncertain period, and therefore, how should we think about perhaps adding to that list or recasting some of those objectives? And the reality is that now, even in the past 12, 24 months, we've got national leaders who are saying things that, let's say, a decade ago, we wouldn't have even dared to think, let alone say in public platforms. And of course, in many cases, these are people who are just trying to stay in the headlines. But the reality is that there is a subset of our population who will hear these messages and listen to them and believe them. So we increasingly moving in dangerous times, and times that are really pulling away from part of what we would have seen as our path to an increasingly enlightened civilization and an increasingly enlightened society, where values that we, I think, as university educators would hold dear, like openness, transparency, objectivity, and globalization, where really the tide is running in the opposite direction. And to inform that, of course, we are all, to some extent, dependent on the global balance of power. And in order to unpack that a little bit, I went to this CSIS report that was published in 2020. Now, CSIS is in the US ranked as the #1 think tank. And CSIS did a series of scenarios where they looked at the relative strength of the US axis and the Chinese axis and what that would mean for global stability and global society. And unbelievably, the two base conclusions are the two ones I've ringed in red there, where with a relatively strong US and a relatively strong China, or a relatively strong US and a relatively weak China, that we ended up with some level of rapprochement between US and China, some level of global alliance involving US, China, and Russia on weapons agreements. And when we look at where we are here in 2024, it's astonishing just how wrong these guys managed to call it, despite having access to some of the finest minds in foreign policy. And even, our own great leader, in inverted commas, in 2021, 3 months before the Russian full-scale invasion in Ukraine, declaring an end to land warfare in Europe, and it just shows how wrong some of these people can be. And that's even without taking into account some of the deliberate disinformation and misinformation that we see now through the malevolent deployment of AI systems to create deep fake, whether that's video, audio, or other forms of media. And what it all kind of says to me really is that we've really got to question and question again the sources of the information that we're drawing on in order to make major policy decisions. And so it leads to the question is, if you can't trust your politicians and you can't trust the world-respected think tanks, who can you trust? And one of the things I wanted to share was I spent a lot of time in Singapore hanging around with bankers for one reason or another. And it seemed to me that the quality of the analysis that was being put on the table by international banks, because of the existential need for them to be the most adept risk analysis and risk managers on the planet, because ultimately if they can't protect capital, then they've got no place on the planet. And I just pulled down some analysis from my friends at ANZ, showing the projected risk levels due to various global events that we've all seen come and go. And what really surprised me about that is that the highest levels of asset risks are all associated with conflict. And when you scan along the x-axis to what would be like February 2021, when COVID-19 kicked in, there's barely a blip, and that everything of any consequence is related to conflict. And And of course, it then leads to the question, why would that be? And of course, because conflict brings uncertainties, markets hate uncertainties, and so even in our business planning, then these are the things that we need to take into account in order to de-risk our organizations, not least because our citizens are going to be carrying the tax burdens of those conflicts, probably for generations to come. And so that's kind of like a long way of saying, yes, these risks are tangible, they're mostly identifiable, so how the heck do we as university leaders take them into account in our business planning, and how do we use the information that we gather in order to flex our missions, whether it's domestically or internationally? And it seemed to me that there were three levels of intervention that we could think about. One is at the policy level, the other is at the practice level, and the programs that we're rolling out and the way that we are hopefully taking care of our current and future students. And then, of course, thinking about the communities that we exist in, as the previous speaker was just mentioning. So if we think about the policy level, then we need to think about the way that we use our platforms to promote objectivity and transparency. We need to cultivate that continuing sense of openness and internationalization, and so far as we can in our local contexts, the freedom of speech, and put our long-term values ahead of short-term business objectives. And of course, one of the great tests of that was the COVID years, in the way that we took care of our communities, we took care of jobs, we took care of the continuing education of our students. And then that poses another series of questions, I think, which is, how well connected to the policy dialogue are we? How good is the quality of communication between our university leadership, local governments, national governments, and are we working together to plan ahead for future black swan events, including future conflicts, including future public health meltdowns? Are we using our platforms, again, to promote truth, objectivity, and ethics? And are we, as leaders, behaving in the best interest of our institutions and as exemplars to our colleagues and to our students? And then the final point, which I'll come back to at the end, which is our governance bodies fit for purpose in this new era and sufficiently engaged with our mission. And one of the missions that I just wanted to pay my deep respect to is the environmental policies that have rolled out in this part of the world. It's 5 years since I was last in Thailand, and on both occasions I spent a lot of time close to the ocean, in the first case on it and in the second case next to it. And I'm hugely impressed at the progress that you have made, particularly in tackling marine plastics pollution. And I hope that that's an agenda that will very much continue, and something that you will, in due course, share with other ASEAN administrations. And then I wanted to talk about practice and just again pose a series of questions about the portfolio of programs that we're delivering and the way that those programs are evolving to take into account some of the new challenges that we're facing both locally and globally. And not just the programs themselves, but the values that we want to imbue in our graduates as they hopefully go out and continue to be agents of change in this really challenging new environment. And then, of course, we need to talk about community and to talk about the way that we put our arms around our colleagues, our students, our alumni, but also our local communities, and supported them through the very difficult years with closed borders and in many cases, a large swathe of the economy that had been closed down. And for an economy like Thailand, which is so dependent on tourism, how you manage to support local businesses, local families through those difficult periods. And of course, the big question is, do we have an ongoing strategy for repeating some of those exercises in future global emergencies? And then the other thing that I want to speak to, which is a little bit informed by traveling around southern Thailand over the past 10 days, and that is the changing size and shape of our communities. Because, of course, one of the consequences of many of these global catastrophes, whether they're driven by conflict or climate change or economic circumstances, is that we are seeing people movements on levels that really are, I would say, unknown in my lifetime, which is changing the demographics of your region. It's changing some of the economic drivers in the region and the extent to which we're engaged in that dialogue and that we're working with national authorities in order to continue to support a harmonious and prosperous society without seeing any of the downsides that go with that we've heard about even in the past month in Sri Lanka, for example, and also in parts of Thailand. And then, of course, how we as university leaders manage those new dynamics that might be going on within our student bodies and our local communities. This, for example, was the 2019 fallout from the Hong Kong riots, where we saw in some Australian universities a great deal of conflict going on between different groups from mainland China, Hong Kong, and other places. And these are all things that we've got a responsibility to step up to as university leaders and again, roll out those messages of tolerance and harmony. So, you know, whichever way we look at the world, it is inevitable that there will be new diasporas. We're seeing it now. We will see future events that will continue to drive it. And I think that the way that we respond to that, again, as university leaders, is a great test of integrity for our communities. You know, and just coming towards the end there, it would be great to think that the politicians, you know, are one step ahead of the game and have got our backs. It's pretty clear that even within, you know, the overall framework of the weaponization of immigration, the whole question of international students becomes a bit of a political football. We've seen it in Australia. We see it also in the UK. And we've got to find a way to navigate through that. Even in the past few days, we've got the UK Foreign Secretary, you know, basically putting universities on notice that there's going to be government intervention in order to drive down the number of international students. And these are really quite deeply damaging messages, not just for the sector, but also for the market. So the elephant in the room, if you like, is, I suppose, that geopolitical tensions and climate change mean that many of these challenges will only increase with time. As brokers of knowledge, we've got to be on the front foot in terms of speaking the truth about the impact of policy changes and continuing to support our communities with messages of support, tolerance, and objectivity. And so I think we do come back to a little bit of a recasting of the motherhood and apple pie messages in terms of laying down perhaps a new set of principles that we might want to think about adopting some of as university leaders, about espousing where we want to be going forward and driving an agenda which is much more about representing and respecting the views of experts, calling out the climate change deniers, and calling out those who would close down the international mobility networks rather than promoting them. So, you know, even within that context, I think there are huge opportunities here for not just Thailand, but Southeast Asia in general, because of its huge natural resources in addressing issues to do with climate change, as we were just discussing, you know, the massive resources that you've got in terms of biomass, in terms of rolling out solar, in terms of using microgrid to support local communities. And I hope that we would see an acceleration of that, not just in Thailand, but across the region. And that plays out in research, it plays out in the policy framework, and it plays out in, of course, new programs and the research and knowledge transfer agenda, where even at a global level, there's a need for an accelerated use of AI into healthcare, into environmental monitoring, into all kinds of technology agendas that will help to support future generations. But of course, AI is a two-edged sword. I'm sure that many of you, even in your pedagogical activities, will be thinking and discussing how can we harness AI to stop students from using AI in a bad way. I just picked this up from social media yesterday, where even in the early days of rollout, people are using software tools in order to try and capture student assignments that have been AI generated. And I just wanted to say a word of caution about the risks of using these tools in an immature state where we might not be advantaging our students, but disadvantaging them in terms of using relatively immature tools in order to penalize students for using or maybe not using AI to generate assignments. And then just finally, I wanted to say a couple of words about governance and the fact that the sector is changing in response to these often cataclysmic changes. I think that means not just the way that we manage our institutions needs to change, but also the way that we govern our institutions. And my personal comment would be that even within the past 10 years, we've seen failures of governance within my experience, within the UK system, within the Australia system. And for sure, some of these systems are going to have to change in order to adapt to this changing world. So thank you very much for your kind attention. I'm going to leave it there, and I look forward to the informal discussions in due course. Thank you all.
Professor Chris Rudd, please still remain on the stage, please. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and distinguished colleagues, please join me in extending our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Chris Rudd for gracing us with his presence and expertise. In today's world of turbulence, we are faced with multi-facets of disinformation, division, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And we know this world as VUCA. It seems we have to be prepared to expect for the unexpected, right? And now, but we still have to be prepared, to live by this world with integrity and governance, I believe. A highly challenging world to live by now. We need to think wisely when we have to take decisions, because what we have just heard, the right decision can become wrong if taken too late. May I ask Professor Dr. Chris Rudd and also our Associate Professor Dr. Surin Mai Seegrod to proceed to the stage because we would like to present to you our token of appreciation. Okay, please still remain there. We have a group photo session after this, and also we have to depart from the normal convention. We'll see this precious moment to express our gratitude to all our panelists before commencing the plenary discussion. I kindly request Vice President Surin Mai Seegrod to present our token of appreciation to our two more panelists, Associate Professor Dr. Pongpan Keotatip, Vice President of Thailand Science Research and Innovation. May I invite you to join Vice President Surin Mai Seegrod on the stage for our token of appreciation before the plenary discussion. And after this, we'll have group photo sessions together. Next, may I ask Mr. Sarin K.C., Technical Advisor at Health Intervention and Technology Assessment Program, to join on the stage for our token of appreciation from Vice President Surin Mai Seegrod. Of course, the other panelist is Professor Chris Rudd, who is already on the stage. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our next agenda will involve two sets of Kodak moments, capturing our participants of 2024 WRC in celebration of Walailak University 32nd anniversary. One will be taken on the stage, and the other later on will be on the floor with all the on-site participants. May I kindly ask all panelists, Vice President Surin Mai Seegrod, and other guests, Associate Professor Dr. Pathamawadi Pochanukul, President of Thailand Science Research and Innovation, Associate Professor Dr. Sivarit Pongsakorn Rangsin, Vice President of Walailak University, Associate Professor Dr. Udom Sak Saengo, Director of Research and Innovation Institute of Excellence, and Associate Professor Dr. Korawit Yusakun, Deputy Director of Research and Innovation, and also Vice President Jaran Bunkan, to join this photo session on the stage. Yep. Now, please kindly proceed down to the floor, and then we'll take another photo with all the audience on site. Please face toward the stage. Please stand up here. We'll take a photo of all our honorable guests with all the audience on site. And we have just finished, keeping our beautiful memory of 2024 WRC. At this point, may I inform that our participants of 2024 WRC, may I inform you that Associate Professor Dr. Pathamawadi Pochanukul, President of Thailand Science Research and Innovation, must depart from WRC 2024 for another engagement. I extend my sincere gratitude to you and once again for coming to our convention. We wish you a safe journey back to Bangkok and we look forward to welcoming you back again in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure now to introduce and extend a warm welcome to our host for the upcoming illuminating plenary session, which will last about 1 hour and 15 minutes. Please give a round of applause to Associate Professor Dr. Surin Maisikroth, Vice President of Walailak University. He will be guiding us through this engaging session alongside our esteemed panelists on the thought-provoking topic of roles of higher education, the digital economy, carbon neutrality, and enhancing quality of life. And may I invite the panelists, Associate Professor Dr. Pongpan Keotatip, Vice President of Thailand Science Research and Innovation, Mr. Sarin KC, Technical Advisor at Health Intervention and Technology Assessment Program, and also our charming Professor Chris Rudd, Chief Scientist from Yangtze River Delta Carbon Fiber Composite Innovation Center. Vice President Surin Maisikroth. Okay. Associate Professor Dr. Pongpan will join us later. And it is now time for the engaging discussion on roles of higher education, the digital economy, carbon neutrality, and enhancing quality of life. The floor is yours now. Vice President Surin Maisikroth.
So we'll wait for Dr. Pongpan shortly. So we'll take a break for a couple of minutes before we proceed. All right. But I'd just like to again, before we start, since we have a little bit of a couple of minutes waiting for Dr. Pongpan here, I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Pathamawadi and Professor Chris Rudd for delivering such a very interesting and relevant topics, relevant issues. Dr. Pongpan, yeah, so Dr. Pongpan is on the stage with us now. So I think both speakers have highlighted a very important issues. So for us now on the panel, we'll be exploring, as I mentioned, we'll be exploring. I'm not sure whether I can say the relationship, but let's say there are a couple of issues here that are very, very significant. A couple of issues that are so prominent, in so many fora these days. The issue of digital economy, the issue about the climate change and enhancing quality of life. So higher education. So we are part of we are executives. We are involved in running higher education institutions, and we have to deal with a lot of issues: climate change, digital creative economy, quality of life, the environment, protecting the environment, and so we are very fortunate to have a very hand-on involved in policy making as well as in research. Associate Professor Dr. Pongpan Keotatip, the Deputy President of Thailand Science Research and Innovation, is on the second from my right, Dr. Pongpan. And then we have Mr. Sarin KC, on my immediate right, the technical advisor at the Health Intervention and Technology Assessment Program, or HITEP. So this is again, it's very important organization, and Mr. Surin, Kun Surin, has been playing a very important role advising this HITEP, the Health Intervention and Technology Assessment Program. And of course, we have great opportunities again to have Chris also joining on a panel. Chris has just ended his keynote address, but there are issues that I think that he highlighted in his speech that can be picked up and further discussed on the panel. And also I'd like to mention that please do ask questions. People on site, if you want to ask questions, raise your hands. There will be microphone brought to you. And those who are online, this is being streamed live online. Those who are online, please also, if you have questions, please send in your questions. We have somebody to pick up your questions and get it up to the stage. You can ask in Thai or you can ask in English. All questions are very, very welcome. So I'd like to mention the format of the discussion. First of all, I would like to ask each of the panelists, with exception of Chris, because Chris has already taken, on the stage. I would like to ask Dr. Pongpan and Kun Sarin to have about 8 to 10 minutes each to address some of the key points. And you may use the lectern over there and use your slides if you wish, or you can talk from here. You have about 8 to 10 minutes max to deliver some of the points that you have prepared. And then we all be back here and ask questions to do the question and answer sessions afterwards. So first of all, I would like to invite Dr. Pongpan first to probably, if you would like to use a microphone there, you're welcome, sir. And then to be followed by Kun Surin. And then after the two have finished, we'll come back and then we'll get into the questions and answer. Please, Dr. Pongpan. I'm going to be very strict with time, all right? So, all right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Please bring my slide up on screen, please. First of all, it is my great honor to be here, and thank you, Walailak University, for inviting me as a panelist today. And I would like to spend a short of time to briefly introduce TSRI. As some of you might know that after we reform our science research and innovation system in Thailand from 2019, so for the new structure, we have the council called the Higher Education Science Research and Innovation Council. That council is chaired by the Prime Minister. And there are 9 ministers from different ministries relevant to the research and innovation as the council members. We have an XPO as the office doing the secretariat thing and academic service for the council. That is the top tier of the science research and innovation. The policy and direction are decided there. And after we have the policy and direction for science research innovation as well as the higher education. For TSRI, we identify ourselves as the policy deployment and budget allocator. So what we do? So we have a role to draft a 5-year plan for science research and innovation. And we use this plan to allocate the budget to all public organizations in Thailand, because according to the new law, all public organizations, including funding agencies, universities, and research institutions, if you want to do research, if you want to develop your innovation project, you have to submit your proposal to request for the annual budget to us. It is, because we want to streamline, to align, the direction of research and innovation of the country. So that's our role. So I will start here, to introduce the National Science Research and Innovation Plan, which we are using now. It starts from 2023 to 2027. And then I will go further for the role of higher education in the three big issues that, decided by Walailak University. I think three big issues are very important, and it's very broad as well. So I try to show example what university here in Thailand do to promote digital economy, carbon neutrality, as well as to enhance the quality of life of Thai people. So starting with the National Science Research and Innovation Plan here, you can see that we are looking at the impact of investment of research and innovation for these 5 years. So actually, I know that for higher education, for professor in university, mostly we are looking for your research excellence. We are looking for your publication in the quartile, first or second quartile, as you are very proud of your career, your output in the term of publications. But here I want to emphasize that for TSI, we also looking at the research excellence, but we also looking at the impact from our investment, from your work. So I want to highlight two things here. For the impact of the plan of the R&D investment. So I want to highlight two things here. You can see the blue box at the lower row. So we're looking at the GII index ranking, the Global Innovation Index. That means we have to deliver the outcome and impact from your research into the economic development to increase the rank of GII of Thailand. So we aim that we can go to rank 35 after the year of 2027. Now we are about 43 or 44 rank right now. And also not only the competitiveness dimension, we are also looking at the social and environmental dimension as well. So we aim for SDG index at the same number. So we hope that at the end of this plan, we can reach number 35 in SDG index. Now we are also in the same level, about 43 or 44 rank for SDG as well. I think we are doing quite good in SDG compared to other ASEAN countries. We rank number first in ASEAN already. And for our strategies, as you may hear from my president, Ajahn Pattamawadi, she also mentioned already that we have 4 main strategies. The first one, we are aiming at the competitiveness, the economic development. And the second one, we aim at the social and environmental development. And for the third strategy is we are looking at the frontier research, how we can prepare Thailand to be ready for the futures. And the last one, we are aiming at the capacity building as well as the institutional development for Thailand, both university and public research institutions. So from these 4 main strategies, there are 23 programs inside. For the first strategy about the economic development, there are 8 programs. So we try to identify which sectors that we want to invest in these 5 years. And because now we are looking at 3 main issues about the carbon neutrality, digital economy, as well as the enhance of quality of life. So I try to identify which program mainly respond to those 3 issues. For the green one is about the program that try to tackle the problems as well as to promote the carbon neutrality. So what we are doing here, so we have like sustainable tourism, we have the program about the circular economy as well as clean energy. We have the program to promote electric vehicle in Thailand, and also the program to promote the livable and sustainable cities, as well as sustainable consumption and low carbon society, for examples. And for the digital economy, we have the program called the Digital AI Smart Electronics, as well as robotics and automation. So that means we have to tackle both hardware and software to bring Thailand to be, better in terms of digital economy. And for the last one is about the quality of life. In terms of quality of life, actually it is very broad. So you can look at many dimensions. But for Thailand, even we achieve the SDG goal #1 already, so we have no poor people under, the poverty line in international perspective. However, if we're looking at domestic criteria, we still have about 5 or 6% of poor people around Thailand. So as you might also realize that Thailand inequality problem is also one of the biggest traps that we have to beat in Thailand. So I would like to emphasize, the way that science research and innovation can help poor people in Thailand in terms of quality of life. So this is our 15 flagships for the plan. You can see the last one, we just, promote the new flagship called carbon neutrality. It is comprises of, many things that we have to achieve. As I mentioned already, for example, in terms of energy, in terms of circular economy, as well as in terms of promote EV industry and EV usage in Thailand. And next, I want to go to the roles of higher education. As I mentioned already, I want to show the example of how university professor can do to promote, the first one is about the carbon neutrality. Here is about the project that mostly have been done by universities in Thailand. So from 2020 to 2023, so we already invest almost 2,200 million baht for the almost 1,000 projects relevant to carbon neutrality. Most of them are in the energy and transport sector. What we do here is, including solar cell, biogas, wind power, and etc. And the second one is about the industrial production and product use. We are doing the project about the biomaterial packaging, the cement and bio-based lubricants, for example. And the third group is about the waste management, including wastewater management. And next, a lot of projects also dealing with the agriculture sector. How can we reduce greenhouse gas emission in agriculture? And we also have a few projects about reforestation as well. So you can see that university is very active to do the research and innovation to drive our society to be the carbon neutrality. However, some of them may be only the early stage. Some of them can be, commercialized already. And if I may show some example of the project that is already, commercialized already. The first one you can see in the left-hand side is about the plastic waste management model in the inner city area. This project is, done by the Plastic Institute of Thailand together with Chulalongkorn University. By this project only, we can reduce about 429 tons of CO2 per year. That's a lot. And the second one, to deal with carbon neutrality is not only about technology perspective. We also have to do the collaborative model as well. And I can show you a sample of the project is about a collaborative model for waste and plastic waste management in Lanta Island in Thailand. So here by the social movement done by university, we can reduce the amount of waste going to landfills and also reduce the food scraps as well. And for the last one, you can see that university working closely with the private sector, and we can develop, local or domestic food digester for household. And from this project, we can reduce a lot of CO2 as well. As mentioned by our keynote speaker, that in Thailand, we have tourism as a strong, engine to drive our economy for many years. But now, tourism sector also facing the challenge of the carbon neutrality as well. So we have the project run by Theater. I think many universities, including Walailak University, working closely with Theater, so they can introduce more than 50 net zero carbon tourist route and so at the world class trade show in Berlin already. And from this route, we can, reduce about 300 kilograms of carbon dioxide already. This is one example that even in tourism area, your university professor can working closely with private sector to promote the carbon neutrality into the main sector as well. And going next to the digital economy. Here, you can see that the role of university are very, very essential because it's not only the technology development, but we also have to think about how we can develop the human capacity. Because you might know that now we are talking about, in terms of software, AI is very important. In terms of hardware, to promote digital economy, so you might hear about the investment in semiconductor industry in Thailand. So there we need a lot of manpower, both in semiconductor industry, both in the embedded technology and also in software, for example, AI technology as well. And we also have to invest in the infrastructure, for example, high performance computing. We also have to think about the collaboration because university cannot working alone to create impact. And we also have to think about the policy and regulation as well. As you might hear about the deepfake, and how can we deal with that? How can we promote AI and protect our populations, by the advanced technology? And how can we deal with the cybersecurity? How can we promote medical devices? For example, we are talking about telemedicine. We have to think about the policy and regulation to promote this thing as well. And to show you some example here. So there are, many good examples from university. You may hear about the digital smell or eNotes. It is a startup from Mahidol University and already implemented in many food factories because it can smell and tell you that it can be used in the quality control of the food and beverage industry. And for the next one is about the Sila Core. Sila Core is a platform invented by KMITL, one of our technology university, which is very well known in terms of electronics. And here as well, it's created a startup that spin out from KMITL and can be, this startup work closely with many big firms, including Toyota, including CPF, for example. And technology also licensed to be used in abroad. It's create a big impact, in terms of the digital economy here. And if I go further for the last issue about the role of higher education to enhance the quality of life, as I mentioned already that I want to focus on how university help tackling or support poor people. I think all of you know about the PMUA, or in Thai, Bopata. It is a funding agency dedicated to solve the area-based development. So PMUA create the mechanism we call ABC, the area-based collaboration. They try to bring university working closely with the administrative office, including at the national level and local administrative office. They use a platform of the government called TP Map to identify poor people. And then they bring local university. They give funding to local university and ask the university to support, to help poor people in order that they can increase the revenues and they can, gain better quality of life. So as you also heard from my president, Dr. Pathamawadi, she mentioned something about the CBR model. So we have ABC model that we engage university to work closely with the government. We also have CBR model. CBR means the community-based research. In the CBR model, we try to, motivate university professor to working closely with the community, with the people in the village. Yeah, and then, by give them the funding and ask them to work closely with the people in the community as an advisor to help people to solve the problem by learning with themselves. But there's still challenges. For the people, for the researchers who are working with the community who working with private sector, and you create impact, not publications. How can we reward them is still the challenge here. Even we have the new law 2 years ago, as we call the TRIUP Act, is the Thailand Research and Innovation Utilization Promotion Act. But we have to raise awareness of this law and engage more professors to create impact to a country by using research and innovation. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Sawadee Khap. Thank you for having me in your research convention, the Walailak family. Really appreciate it. And thank you for the hospitality as well. So my name is Sarin Kesi. I am from Nepal, but I've been working at the HITAP, which is a semi-autonomous research agency for the Ministry of Public Health in Thailand. So my talk is going to be about what can we, the research community, including myself, can learn and also teach the future generation of researchers. And in particular, this is about research for informing policy making, right? So if I had to ask a question, what is the role of higher education institutes like Walailak? I can probably dissect it into 3 parts. One is to build capacity, right? Supply of researchers, future innovators. Second is to advance science knowledge, the theory, add to the literature, create new methodologies. But the third strand is informing policies, informing policymakers, shaping global policies, right? And that is the part that I'm going to be focusing about. And for my presentation, I only have 3 key messages or 3 questions to ask the research community, including myself. And this is primarily based on our very recent experience of COVID-19. So the first question I want to ask is, can we, the research community, see the bigger picture and teach our future generation of researchers to see that bigger picture when doing research to inform policy? So the first aspect is what Ajahn Pathamawadi had already mentioned, and that is about the interconnectedness of disciplines, of countries, about issues that we research. If you think about One Health, there's animal health, there's environment, and there's a bunch of other things that's happening, right? But if we do research that is unidirectional, you are not measuring the impact of its full scale. Therefore, you're underestimating the impact, and therefore you're undermining the interventions that can happen. So the first part, I'm not going to talk about multidisciplinary or transdisciplinary because Ajahn has already talked about it. But I want us to think about the interconnected nature of the issues, the research, not only at the disease or inside the country, but also at global and regional level. Second thing I want to point out is about the context at which we're doing research and making decisions. Most often, decisions are made considering many factors, not only the evidence from research. As you can see this quote from Dr. Tedros, from the Director General of WHO, health is a political choice, especially universal health coverage is a political choice, not a financial one. And therefore, the evidence that we as researchers provide to decision makers, they often make it to the table, but the decision might not go with the recommendation that we give them. And that's because of the multiple factors that play into making a decision. And this is very important for young generation of researchers to know that despite the excellent research that you can create, the recommendation might still not align with, or the policies might not align with your recommendation, and that they have to factor in these multitude factors. Researchers should also understand that decision makers work with competing priorities, right? So there's, as Ajahn Pangpon mentioned, they're funding not only health sector, but multitude of sectors, and that means there are trade-offs, right? And these trade-offs are faced by decision makers on a daily basis. So while we create research and provide evidence to decision makers, we should be also mindful that they face these trade-offs, and there are multiple competing factors that go into decision making. So in simple terms, future generation of researchers who are in their undergrad, their master's or PhD should not only think about excellence in research, but also the context behind doing research and making policies. The second point that I want to make is, can we teach our students, our researchers, to recognize and optimize trade-offs? The first trade-off is between academic excellence and policy relevance or timeliness to policy. And Prof. Chris actually briefly mentioned about this in his presentation about research being right when it's timely. And this is a famous quote from Chris Whitty, who used to lead the COVID task force in the UK. And he says, "And 180% right paper before a policy decision is made is worth 10 95% right papers." And that to me resonates highly, because in Thailand during COVID-19, the Ministry of Public Health created an intelligence unit inside the Ministry of Public Health, because they were facing a lot of decisions, and to those decisions they had to make very quickly under high uncertainty, right? So researchers like ourselves at HITAP had to work overnight, more often not conducting research to the highest academic excellence. But that didn't matter as long as we gave them evidence that clearly and transparently highlighted the limitations of those research and the implication of those research. So what I'm trying to say here is, yes, we want to have academic excellence, but to be relevant to policymakers, we also have to be mindful that their research need to be relevant to policymakers, but also be timely, right? So there's this trade-off, and we need to teach our students that these trade-offs exist, and we need to find a balance if we are to make an impact in the country or otherwise. The other trade-off, and these are just some examples of trade-offs that we see. There are multiple trade-offs. There's so many trade-offs in life. Efficiency and equity is another, right? We talk about digitizing the entire economy, and that is certainly going to make our system more efficient. But there might be a trade-off. What about the equity, right? If you think about the digital divide, people in the urban settings, people who are more well-off, people who are more educated might be more accessible to these advancements in digital technologies. They might be more familiar, they might be more well-educated to use them. But people who may be the richest, the poorest fifth, maybe not so educated, maybe the elderly, may not be able to access or use these digital advancements that are made in the country. So what are we going to do about this? How are we going to close that digital divide and reduce that equity and efficiency gap? So it's trying to recognize that, yes, we can be efficient, but there are trade-offs, and we need to close that trade-off, right? So it's, again, not thinking research and policies in unidirectional, but multidirectional. During COVID-19, there was a clear trade-off between saving lives versus saving livelihood, and that was because of the lockdown, right? And again, a very clear policy trade-off. Do we save lives, or do we continue our economy by opening the border? And again, the research community, maybe you're a scientist, maybe you're a medical doctor, and you're only thinking about saving lives. But then there are unintended consequences, what we call excess mortality, by affecting the livelihood. And again, thinking about the priorities, the competing factors that policymakers have to make decisions under. So doing research, excellent research is great, but doing research for policy making, you need to think about these trade-offs and strike a balance. Finally, I want to pose this question to the research community, especially who are deeply focused into excelling academic, is can we really master the art of science communication? And this is very crucial. Creating high quality evidence is important, very important. But if you're not able to translate that evidence, if you're not able to communicate what it means to the people who actually use it, that high quality evidence becomes meaningless. And this communication has multiple layers. We need to communicate our evidence, our research among our fellow researchers, which I think we do excellently. We have conventions like this, we have many research forums, and we are excellent at sharing our research, our methods, objectives, research, limitation, we're fantastic at it. But what about sharing the evidence, communicating the evidence to policymakers? In Thailand, especially in the health sector, we are fortunate that the decision makers are highly educated. They're more often than not doctors, and they hold PhD, and they can grasp these technical terms that researchers use. But maybe in other sectors, maybe in other countries, if you think about regional projects, maybe other countries, you're not so fortunate. And in those cases, you have to simplify your technical research terms and put it into lay words. What does it actually mean? How can you actually use it to translate into policy? When I was a student, I was never taught this. And even till date, this is not a big priority. But I re-emphasize this because this is going to be a big problem, as we saw during COVID-19. We saw a lot of models and modeling evidence talk about flattening the curve. But researchers face a lot of criticisms from policymakers, from media, simply because they were not able to communicate this complex research and evidence to the lay person. So one communication channel is to policymakers, but the second communication channel is to people like the public, general public, who get impacted by the policies, and in turn, they affect the efficacy, or they in turn affect the efficacy of those interventions because they have to adhere to the policies. If they do not adhere to the policies that are in place, those policies become ineffective. For example, lockdown. If you put a lockdown, but people don't follow, if you ask people to use masks, social distance, but people don't follow. Those policies are practically useless, right? So, and you can only get the people to follow and adhere to policies by effectively communicating. So it becomes very important. And no. So I urge academic institutions, higher education institutions, universities, to start thinking about training future generation of researchers, not only to excel in academia, but also to communicate effectively, and also to think bigger, to understand the priorities that decision makers have, the trade-offs that exist, and the implications of the evidence that they create for policymaking. So with that, I would like to thank everyone and close my opening speech. ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you so much for that excellent points, ending with the ability to communicate research. So, Associate Professor Dr. Pongpan Keotatip, the Deputy President of the TSRI, Thailand Science Research Innovations. On the panels, Mr. Sarin Casey, Technical Advisor at HITAP, Professor Chris Rad. So we have the first round of point making, remarks making oriented point. So now it's questions and answer. I would like to start with Chris because Chris has done his speech this morning already. And so we'll try to link up all the issues, the quality of life, digital economy, carbon neutrality, and all of that together, and see in the context of research, in the context of higher education institution, how are we handling this? What else can we do? Okay. Now, Chris also in his speech, Chris mentioned about carbon sinks. And also Dr. Pongpan touched on that very issues. And Chris also, he has extensive experience in China, in Southeast Asia, having lived in Europe already, and then moved to other parts of the regions. And when we talk about climate change, when we talk about this carbon dioxide emission, and we aim to reduce the emission down to 1.5 or 2, making sure that the temperature will not rise beyond 2 degrees Celsius. So, Chris, can you expand, can you elaborate further on your points about the level of carbon dioxide emission, the carbon things that you mentioned in your talk?
Yeah, sure. So I think the first point I wanted to pick up on was the one that Saran made from Chris Whitty's pithy analysis, right, about essentially not letting the perfect be the enemy of the good, so that if you've got something which deals with half of the problem or 3/4 of the problem, and it's good to go, then let's get it out there. And I think that renewables is a really interesting case in point, getting towards this net zero situation. And just, while we were talking, because I don't have the numbers in the foreground, I looked up Thailand, right? Thailand is 13% renewables currently. But when you think about the resources, the natural resources it's got in terms of sunshine and biomass, then really it should be 90%, right? I come from a cold, dark, windy place in Northern Europe, and I looked at the numbers for the UK. UK is running 53% now. I think Germany a little bit higher, France a little bit lower, Denmark 67%. And And also traveling around in Thailand and looking at the situation of a lot of communities, they're a long way from the grid. We were hiking through, like virgin rainforest last week, and every 10 minutes you're tripping over a power cable because it's taking the grid to, maybe a settlement of 3 or 4 houses. Those kinds of situations could be perfectly well served with solar. It's cheap. It's very, very fast to implement. And of course, you're creating employment and a service industry for local people. And also when we think about some of the conflict situations and where aggressive powers have been deliberately targeting energy infrastructure, it's really, really resilient because it's localized, it's microgrid, and it's basically impossible to knock out at any kind of scale. So maybe that's a conversation we could take forward.
So using alternative energy like solar energy, from your point of view, it seems that we have great hope to get us to reduce the greenhouse emission, the carbon dioxide emission. So there is a great hope, right, Chris, for that. Okay, coming back to Dr. Pongpan, I think we'd like to, have some points about what Dr. Pongpan mentioned, and we'd like to, because it's from a planning, Dr. Pongpan's point about, Dr. Pongpan is the vice president of this organization that actually plans research in the area of science, technology, and also from the side of the social sciences as well. So it's cover a wide range of areas that actually impact on people's lives. And from the planning agency, point of view, Dr. Pongpan, I'm just wondering whether down the line to universities, different education institutions, university researchers, research organizations, and all of that, you are up here planning and collecting data, a lot of data and all of that. What do you see as a gap? Are there any gaps between you as a planning organizations and we at the other end of the spectrum doing the research, communicating our research, trying to translate our research so that our research can benefit the lives of the people? So are there any missing gaps from your point of view?
Yeah, thank you for your question. It's very challenging as well. But first of all, I would like to say that I like what you said, that the researcher should aware that many things or everything is interconnected, and researchers should see the big picture. But it is very important that after you see the big picture, you have to be very focused in what you are doing. Because, in each project, if you want to look at the impact at the end, you have to, begin with the end in mind. You have to know, you have to have the power of imagination that, at the end, how can you research, make the impact to the society? So go back to the question, so the gap between planning and what we see in the, in the real world. What I can say, yes, the first thing is, I think, so as we allocate the budget to university, it is in the system what we call the block grant policy. So what is a block grant? It means that, so if Walailak University, submit the proposal to us, we as CSI, we do not evaluate individual project inside your proposal. But we hope that Walailak University should know that what or how do you use that money to strengthen your researcher, to strengthen your research cluster, and to promote, the impact from your university? And we can see the gap between, first thing, the gap between university and TSRE. Yeah, sometimes, as Ajahn Pathamawadi mentioned that the Ministry of Higher Education, Sciences and Innovation, we categorize university into 5 groups, and Walailak identify yourself as a world-class, and in the first group as you aim to be the world-class university. But you can see that many of researchers still, try to work closely with the communities. And how can you bring those pictures together? And how can you bring it into the research plan? How can you utilize the money as a block grant to, fulfill the plan and the objective of the university? And another gap is between university and researchers. How can university let their researchers know the direction of university? I think it's another big gap. So how can we reduce these 2 gaps will be a challenge for Thailand. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pongpan, because Dr. Pongpan is a former associate professor. So I think we have got a lot of understanding from him. Now he's a money giving. Now he gives money to us. But he was a university professor himself, so we've got a lot of understanding. Now, coming to Kun Sarin, who has been working on this very interesting issue. He points out the three. What I was very interested in, Mr. Sarin, was that when you talk about communicate, the point that you made about health is a political choice. That is an extremely interesting point because health is a political choice. For those who are not interested in politics, for those who are not interested in political bickering, political decision making and all of that, might view this as it is a far-fetched thing. But actually it's quite right. Everything, in fact, is not only about health, but everything is about political decision. So can you point out, Kun Sarin, incidents or instances which indicate, apart from what you've just mentioned already in your talk there, in your remarks there, incidents, evidence that indicates the damage done on health as a result of bad political decision? I mean, what else from your research that you can point out to? Yeah, go ahead.
ขอบคุณครับอาจารย์ Very tough question. You put me on the spot here. I do have one interesting example, and it's actually from Thailand. So I hope I don't get, put in the front page for.
It's okay. It's all right.
Okay. There's this renal replacement therapy, right? So it's a liver disease, and for this disease there are 3 treatment options. One is your normal care, your palliative care, and then there's 2 dialysis options. One is hemodialysis, and second one is peritoneal dialysis, right? The dialysis options are super expensive, but it gives you better health outcomes in terms of more survival chances, right? So the government asks the research unit, out of these 3 options, which one gives the best value for money, both in terms of efficiency, in terms of financial outcomes, but also in terms of saving lives, right? So we do our cost effectiveness analysis, and then we find that given the government budget, the dialysis options are not cost effective. but it significantly improves health outcomes, right? Within the two dialysis options, peritoneal dialysis was a better choice for the government because it was going to consume significantly less budget compared to the hemodialysis. So that actually translated into Thailand's policy, and it's called PD First policy. And it yielded good results. Access to treatment was great. Compared to hemodialysis, people need to visit dialysis centers, which may not be accessible in many rural parts of the country. So PD was a good choice because you could buy the solution and do it at home, so you don't need to travel anywhere. So good money, value for money, good health outcome, good access, good policy decision overall. Recently, there was an appetite to change this policy. And we think it's not economic, it's not health related, but simply a political decision. And perhaps in line with the recent election. So the change in policy was that instead of only giving peritoneal dialysis, now patients have access to hemodialysis as well as peritoneal dialysis. Now, the negative impact, there's two negative impacts. One is obviously the financial burden, right? Hemodialysis is super expensive, and it's going to cost the National Health Security Office budget, who is the health insurance agency for Thailand, a significant chunk of money. Second, we can actually see the mortality rate among renal replacement therapy patients increasing as a result of more hemodialysis, simply because the patients are not used to the treatment, and there are not enough physicians to deliver hemodialysis in the most effective way. So it's a political decision that has yielded unfavorable financial and health outcomes.
Actually, health is a political choice, is a political decision, is like the elephant in the room, you know. It's very much an elephant in the room, really, because, you know, we can find evidences indicating that bad political decisions result in, even with great resources, even with, you know, money around, with medications around, system is in place and all of that, but in the end, decisions, decision to get things in a certain way is very significant, is very important. Which means, Chris, that we have to fix politics, right? It seems that it boils down to that. In the end, we have to fix politics. Now, Chris, you have been in the West, you have been in Asian countries, in China and in Singapore. What is your idea about comparing the kind of political decisions made in those two places? Any comments on that?
Yeah, it's a particularly interesting question. I think not so much from an East-West perspective, but maybe from East Asia, Southeast Asia. You know, I just finished 5 years in Singapore, and most people will know that Singapore is basically 75% ethnic Chinese. And in fact, the last time I counted of the 17 ministries in the Singapore government, 13 of them were occupied by Chinese. And yet, the culture could not be more different. You know, we think about mainland China, and they have the saying, the government is the government, and the people are the people, but it's very much a collectivist culture where you don't very often see people sticking their heads above the parapet and criticizing policy. In Singapore, oh my God, it could not be further from, you know, that situation where, you know, during COVID, there would be webcasts by PM Lee Hsien Loong, and people would join in on Zoom, and the diatribe that's coming through the chat box, really quite vicious responses to actually what was we were talking earlier on, Sarah, and I think actually a very reasonable position that the Singapore government took about the restrictions, but the sense of entitlement from individual citizens, and I hope that I'm not ruffling too many feathers in the audience, could not be more different from the mainland Chinese experience.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for that. And talking about, probably Dr. Pongpan can help address this issue, because I look here at the Quality of Life Index 2024. This is very interesting. And there are 85 countries listed on the index. Out of 85 countries, the Netherlands comes first. Thailand ranked 74 out of 85, 74. So we are not ranked very well there. And the rankings are based on things like cost of living, crime index, healthcare index, pollution index, property prices, traffic matters. So this is very interesting. So again, I think we have a long way to go. Both people at the level of researchers at universities and also at the planning level at Dr. Pongpan's outfit, organizations. And then we aim to become developed countries, getting out of this middle-income trap country. So this is the big issues. That means we are not doing very well in many counts. So I would like maybe all of you to address this, start with Dr. Pongpan. But I would like to also mention again that any questions from the floor, please send up. So after this one, I would like to hear questions from the floor, and whether there are any questions from the audience who are watching, who are following this session online. So are there any questions, Doctor? No questions? So, okay, there are questions from the floor, but okay, let get this question out of the way first. Okay, Dr. Pongpan, you can start.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not familiar with that ranking, the Quality of Life Index. And I just heard from you, and yeah, we do very bad in that ranking. However, if we look at the SDG index, as I mentioned earlier, I think we are doing quite good there. We rank number 1 for ASEAN. But however, we still have a lot of things to do. We still have a big room for improvement. Yeah, I agree. But, because in Thailand, when we talking a trap, apart from middle income trap, we also have like the inequality trap. So those two things we have to, as you mentioned that, Kun Salin mentioned that, is interconnected. If you try to promote industry to increase the competitiveness, you have to think about the supply chains. You have to think about how that policy affects other people. So I think it's a challenge in Thailand. I want also to go back for your last question to Professor Chris about, do we need to fix the politics? I think we have to aware that politicians, they are representative from Thai people. So what they are think may be the same as our people think. So I think apart from fixing them, we have to look at ourselves. How can we do to let them understand us? How can we adapt ourselves, to fulfill what they are? So not looking them in the gray or dark side only. I think they also have a good view to, to develop our country. And how can we work with them in that, in the bright side? Yeah. So go back again to your question. I think for Thailand, we have a very big room for improvement. And as I want to, again, to tell our researchers that you have to see this big picture. You have to understand how can your research help, create impact and improve our society. Yeah. I think we should start from individual, not only at the policy level.
Okay. Khun Sarin, big questions. This is quite big questions.
Khawun Khap Ajahn. Yeah, I totally agree with both the panelists here. I wanted to reference, you said can we fix the politicians, right? So HITAP, we do a lot of teaching in other countries, try to teach them how to do research, how to institutionalize evidence-based policymaking. And one of the key things that we teach is Thailand's very own Ajahn Prawasi's, the triangle that moves the mountain. I'm not sure if, I'm not sure if people in the room are familiar with that famous quote, but it's.
Can you remind us again, please, the triangle by Mo Pravet?
Yeah. So there's 3 corners in the triangle, and the first part is about research and evidence generation, which Walailak University is striving and contributing to. The second corner is about political movement, advocacy, and the third is social movement and social participation. So when we go to other countries and try to promote universal health coverage, and people ask us the same question, how can we convince policymakers to make that political choice? And we show them this example always, Thailand's triangle that moves the mountain. We do our job creating the evidence that from our research, that's the baseline, right? That's something we need to do, and we do. But we don't stop there. We advocate, we link to policymakers. Again, coming back to our presentation earlier, if we just do our research, it's not going to change anything. We need to speak to these people. We need to advocate for a change by leveraging social movement. So what we mean by that, I think Ajahn already mentioned about transdisciplinary research, involving social community, people from outside the research space to join with you in that movement for making that change. And that creates more pressure to the policymakers to bring the change that you want to see. So that's my 2 pence on that issue.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah, okay, so I give you the man from Mars view, right? So I'm on the outside looking in. I wonder whether what we're talking about here is, the classic communication problem, because I reckon most outside observers would reckon that Thailand's doing pretty well, because when we look at the ASEAN benchmarks, we can take Singapore out for a start because nobody's going to reproduce that. We can take Brunei out also because it's basically a gas station, surrounded by rainforest, and which leaves Thailand. And the progress that has been made over the last 20 years, I mean, of course, there's still inequality, but actually the quality of the infrastructure, the level of transparency, the inclusion, the racial and religious harmony, I think would be the envy of very many developing countries. I think it's actually a great example of a regional success story.
I'm very pleased to hear that from Chris, who is a Westerner, but who is very familiar with the situations in Asian countries. And I think we have to give a lot of credit to Dr. Pongpan's organization, Thailand Science and Research Organization, because they have funded a lot over the years, research that have benefited people at the grassroots level. So I think people recognize the contributions made by Dr. Pongpan's organizations, the so-called SOWO. So it's very it's very important that we recognize this. And I'm very happy to hear what Chris said early on too about the marine waste that has been reduced from his observation, because Chris has been traveling quite a bit in the south of Thailand, around Krabi, Phuket and Phang Nga, and all those places. And he's a scientist, so I don't think anything can escape his eyes, really, his observation. So he has observed that things have changed for the better, in that area in Thailand, the marine waste. And we are working very hard. We have Dr. Amon Sak, we have many scientists in the marine sciences at Walailak University who are working very hard on that, Professor Rad. We have students' activities that bring students out from to the coastlines and to get them to clean up the beaches, educating them the need for them to understand the danger of these plastics that have been swept from somewhere, from Thailand, from other parts of the world, getting onshore in Tasala or in other places around Nakhon Si Thammarat. So I think and enough to say to Dr. Pongpan that we try to be, certainly, and this is a response to Kun Sarin as well, we try to be locally relevant, absolutely, because we strive to be recognized internationally, but certainly we are rooted very deeply in the local community, and we are given the mission by the government as a university to address social problems, to address community problems. So we are checked, very closely through people like Dr. Pongpan's funding, whether we have worked to help local communities. So absolutely, we are aware of the mission of the university. We are conscious of the fact that we need to help out our local community, local people. After all, Walailak University was established. Today we are 20 years old, 22. So we were established first. Among other things, we were given a very difficult task to perform, to be both locally relevant and at the same time to be internationally recognized as an excellent institution. So we try to do both, but I think we've been doing quite okay, Dr. Pongpan, and because this is as part of the the pillar of the society. We can't run away from this. We can't escape this. So there was a question from the floor. So please ask. Okay, go ahead, please.
I'm Rachizak from Walailak University. Thank you very much to all professors for sharing the information to enhance the life qualities. May I have one question to Professor Pongpan, please? Regarding the several plans that you are planning to do to develop the infrastructure for the science and technology program number 20, what are you expecting? Can you please share a little bit more information about what are you expecting to see in the next 5 years from this program, and how the university get involved in this program, please?
So you mean the infrastructure development plan in our National Science Research Innovation Plan? So actually, you have to looking at the impact of the plan that we want to see for the impact. However, in individual plan, we have we call the OKR, the objective and key results. We try to identify the objective, or at the end of the plan, what we want to see as the objective of each plan, and we have identified the key results that how can we measure the success of that plan. So as the infrastructure, I think, so what we are looking at, if you have seen the slide of Ajahn Pattamawati at the beginnings, so we have to prepare ourselves to be ready of the future industry. We can identify, I think, 6 or 7 future industry that will be very important or relevant to Thai future. So we quite focusing on that future sector that Thailand should be ready. And go back to the role of university. So I think university has to work closely with the, of course, the communities. But if you're looking at the industry, you have to working closely with the private sector. And I think another important partner is the public institutions. Because when we invest in infrastructure, we mostly looking at the public research institution. For example, the NSTDA, the NALIT. So because they are very keen at that technology, but they still want to work closely with universities because they want to engage, young researchers. They want to engage, for example, the PhD students to work closely with them. So go back to your question. So we are looking at, university to work closely with the, partners to create impact.
Okay, I think we will have to draw this to a close shortly. We aim to finish is at about 11:30, now 35. So, but anyway, we have a couple of minutes.
Excuse me, there are some more
questions.
questions.
There are more questions. Yes, please. Please ask questions. If there are any questions, please do. Yes, Dr. Walailak.
Right, there is a question from the online participant concerning Kun Sarin's presentation on optimizing trades-off, right? So the question is, how do contextual elements such as the urgency of policy issues and data accessibility affect the balance between policy relevance and scientific rigor?
Great question.
From Mr. Mark Triff.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Bangchui. It's not a exact science on how to find a balance, especially arbitrary things like academic excellence versus policy relevance and urgency. I can give you an example. HITAP was commissioned by the Thai Prime Minister to do research on vaccine passport during COVID-19 and to do a cross-border study between Thailand and Singapore to reopen the bilateral borders for tourism. And we had to combine economic models, infectious disease models, and tourism model, 3 models into a single model, which was never done before. So academically, it's a disaster, but something that had to be done. Most of the data were not available, both in Singapore and in Thailand. There were many assumptions that we had to make that probably you wouldn't make in a normal circumstance, right? And finally, data sharing. In a normal circumstance, sharing data between Thai ministry and Singapore ministry would be a very difficult thing. But there was trust and there was policy urgency and interest between both these countries. So research organization like HITAP under the Ministry of Health and National University of Singapore working with the Ministry of Health in Singapore made an internal agreement to share the data that can be used to populate the model. And we were able to produce some results. They were not perfect by any stretch of an imagination, but we were able to produce some results that gave an indication to the Thai government that if there are X number of infections in Thailand and X number of infections in Singapore and X% of vaccination coverage in both countries, it might be safe to reopen the border for X number of tourists. And it's going to yield X number of GDP, and that GDP is going to percolate into the economy, and therefore maybe it might be justified. So it's trying to make most of what you have in that situation to try to help the policymakers as much as you can. One key parameter in that model was the threshold, the tolerable threshold of number of infected patients incoming to Thailand. Now, this is a very difficult parameter to estimate from research point of view, especially during COVID when you don't have the data. So things like that, you resort to policymakers and ask them, what do you think is the tolerable number of infected tourists that you allow in Thailand? And it's an arbitrary number, but that's the best you can get, and that's, you have to use it. Yeah.
So there was a question from there, yeah, please do ask questions. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Wishitpan Longwong from School of Engineering and Technology. Actually, I have a very simple question compared to the topic discussing, but it's something in my mind. So in Walailak University, it is almost the end of the semesters, and what I found that the most changes in my classroom is the student using AI in the classroom. For my side, I think it's too easy for them, and I kind of don't like it. But actually, I would like to ask your opinions that should we promote using AI in the classroom or not, or what should we do in the good way? Thank you very much.
It's very interesting because Chris was also mentioning about the immaturity of the artificial intelligence. So when we use it as a tool, it could also be probably not very positive for us. So Chris, can you please address that?
It's a great point. Everybody will have a different view, and many institutions will be adopting different positions. And I really don't think there's any kind of consensus emerged yet. What I would say is there's a bit of a precedent with anti-plagiarism software. I don't know what you use here. We use Turnitin, and I've used that for about 10 years. And what I would say, it's kind of like using a horse and cart in an era where everybody's driving super fast EVs. That particular technology really hasn't advanced in 10 years substantially, and that's what worries me about the fact that you've got all these e-learning providers popping up, in your email inbox every day, offering you a solution to pick up AI-generated courseware. I think we've got to be a little bit cautious, and I think that we've got to work with the students to explore legitimate uses of AI, because there's no getting away from it. I'll give you one very simple example. In my career, I supervised probably 65 PhDs to completion, and most of the effort that went into those was proofreading them and correcting the English from non-native speakers. Now, that, to me, is a perfectly legitimate use of AI, which means that I can actually use, 12 hours a week a hell of a lot more productively. But in terms of, metrics and filters to pick up illegitimate use of AI, I don't think we're there yet.
Okay, unless anyone would like to add to that or other questions, other issues that have been discussed, I would like to suggest that we bring this to a close, ending this panel discussion. And I would like to thank again Professor Chris Rudd, until recently the Deputy Vice Chancellor of James Cook University in Singapore, Singapore campus. And thanks the Associate Professor Dr. Pongpan Keotatip, Deputy President of Thailand Science Research and Innovations, or TSRI. And thank Mr. Sarin KC, the Technical Advisor at the Health Intervention Technology Assessment Program, Thailand. So I think we have been very fortunate to have all the panelists and speakers, including Dr. Patamawadi this morning. And this is a great thing that we bring every year to Walailak University. Walailak Research Convention is an annual event. So every year about this time, because we celebrate big time on the 29th of March every year. That is the day when Walailak University was established in 1992. But prior to the big day, which include many things, religious ceremony, grantings of decorations, recognizing people who have contributed to the development of university and all of that. But prior to the 29th, we have this big plenary session like this. We invited different people to talk about different issues. We've changed the issue over the years. And then across the campus, we have hundreds of researchers and scholars doing their talking, highlighting some of their research findings and all of that. So it's a big event that's happened here annually. So those who are following us online or who have just heard about this thing without being able to participate, wait for next year and then many more years in the future, because this is one event that we are having it every year, about this time of the year. So with that, I would like to thank again our panelists this morning for your great contribution to this WRC 2024. And so we will have to, to say, on behalf of university community, a big thanks to you all. And I have to say that what you have just mentioned on the stage, from your presentation, the opening remarks, they're all great things that we as members of the university community find it very, very extremely useful. So thank you again. With that, thank you, sir. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, distinguished panelists, and our moderator, Vice President Surin Maisikroth. Please remain seated because we'll do 2 sets of photographs before ending this morning opening ceremony. The first set will be seated, and the second set, please stand up. Yeah. Thank you. You may now step down from stage. So, ladies and gentlemen, just ended was our plenary discussion, and the topic was roles of higher education, the digital economy, carbon neutrality, and enhancing quality of life. I hope that you enjoy the engaging plenary discussion. In today's VUCA world of turbulence, it's full of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. The apparent disintegration is in fact calling very loudly, from what I heard from different speakers this morning, for integration and collaboration. Let 2024 WRC be one of your network and active partner for your integration and collaboration journey, working on multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary research and make this VUCA world the world of vitality, uprightness, civility, and authority for better changes for the generation to come. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and distinguished participants, as we journey through the challenges of our era, let us ponder the profound words of a very famous person, Nelson Mandela, who famously stated, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." In the midst of turmoil, education serves as a guiding light, empower individuals to overcome obstacles, and pave the way for a better future. With this sentiment in our heart, I would like to extend our appreciation to Vice President Surin Maisikroth, Associate Professor Dr. Pathamawadi Pochanugun, Professor Chris Rudd, Associate Professor Dr. Pongpan Keotatip, Mr. Sarin Kesi, and Dr. Walailak Wanjit for being with our online participants from the beginning to the end, and also all those who help us to work on this convention to its success this morning. Together, let us continue to navigate the complexity of our world with courage, resilience, and the transformative power of education. Let's now, I think we are a little bit hungry, convene for a nourishing lunch reception just outside this Pattara Thammaporn chamber at our beautiful hospital, Grand Hospital, a new one, where you can engage fruitful discussion, foster connections, and strengthen your collective resolve to shape a brighter tomorrow. And after lunch, may I remind you that for invited guests, we have arranged a city tour. So after lunch, please meet me at the registration table and we'll do a city tour together. Bon appetit, and thank you for joining 2024 WRC. Hope that we'll see each other again next year.